Just giving you the one thing I did miss. I mean, you've won 7 major trophies, been in numerous finals, coached in an incredible amount of significant games, and we're going to get into that, especially the European competitions. But I really want to talk to you first about how you got involved in basketball and your playing career, because I think that you're going to tell us as an audience that you gained a lot from your playing career that you've taken into your coaching career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, first of all, we'll start when I was at Moat Boys School, and actually football was my first sport. And at the age of 13, I broke my right leg camping, of all places, with the Boys Brigade. And it was a clean break. Tib and fib. Took about 3 months for that to sort of heal itself. And even when I was coming back, it was tough going. So one day I was just walking through our sports hall at Moat Boys School, and there's a tiny little shed of a thing, and there was a basketball in there. I still had half of a cast on my leg, and there's a basketball there. I picked up and started shooting around. My PE teacher there at the time was a guy called Carl Olsen, who...
Extremely one of the most famous yeah. players that British basketball has produced, and certainly
absolutely. So he was one of my PE teachers, and I can remember him telling me, "So get out of the gym and come back when you're fully fit, ready to go." And I think about sort of 3 months later, I did that, and very quickly I started to play the game. I really enjoyed it. Next thing I know, I'm sort of playing for England under 15 and playing for Leicester Riders. And it kind of snowballed from there as far as playing was concerned.
Just because we have such a new audience, I'm sure all of the older time people will understand this. You have a brother, and you know that brother was involved in basketball in a big way as well. Were you getting into the game at the same time? What was the relationship there?
Well, really, we all sort of played football together. We played in a local team together. I mean, we did a lot of things together. And actually, I'm one of 5 boys. And it was the twins, Evan and John. They were both heavily into basketball, and John still is now. And again, I remember my first game, and I had no basketball shoes. I had no socks. I had no nothing. But they had all the gear. So. And they were like 2 sizes bigger than me in shoes. So I was wearing about 4 pairs of socks. They lent me a pair of Rukanor basketball boots. and away we went. But it was great at the time because we ended up playing on the same local league team together with basketball. They actually got into coaching as well and ended up coaching Leicester for a period of time together as twin head coaches, if you like, which was quite surreal. And Sean, my younger brother, also played. And Roger, my eldest brother, he refereed a little bit, so we were quite all into it at the time.
So, was Carl? He was still playing. Carl Olsen was still playing. Who was coaching Leicester when you first started to play for Leicester itself?
So when I started coaching and playing first, Peter Shaw.
Wow. Okay.
Peter Shaw was playing. We had guys called like Bob Wilson. Chris Worcester used to play, Steve O'Shea, and the list goes on. You know, Winston Gordon, Mark Bradbury, players like that who all played. And at the time at Leicester, playing at the Granby Halls, you know, it seated 3,000 people, and we would get comfortably 2,000 people a game, no matter what game, because it's just everybody was local.
Yeah.
You know, all the players were all local. Carl Olsen, and obviously he taught in Leicester, and so did Chris Worcester and those guys. So it's a real family affair, if you like, and it's a real joy to be a part of that. That's for the time.
And at this time, I mean, first of all, we also have to explain you played at point guard position, and you were one of England's great point guards at that time. Who do you think were your peers at that time, and who were you battling against to be in the England national team? And what was the incredible battles?
Well, now you're testing me, right? No, we had there's Joel Moore. Joel Moore was around. Carl Brown. Guys like the Baker brothers were coming up fast behind at the time. Paul Stimpson, Carl Tatham, all of those guys. And it was just thinking back and looking back at it now, it was just a fabulous time. There's some absolutely awesome players around at the time, but great people as well. People who want to share information. So they were the guys I was playing. And I think, I don't know, I wouldn't call myself a great player at the time. I did what I had to do within that, and I played hard. And I think they're the sort of things that sort of carried forward when I then went on to sort of start coaching.
Did you ever, at those early years in Leicester, I mean, you're out there, you're battling, you're trying to, establish yourself as a player. Were you ever thinking coaching? Was that in your mind, or was that?
No, not at all. I mean, I was basically working at a leisure facility, and, it's my first professional contract, getting paid to play. And I thought, this is great. So you just kind of enjoying the moment, and, guys who I was watching, Alton Bird, for instance, I was now playing against, Steve Von Traeger and people like that, now playing against. And it was just, for a young kid, it was like, wow, you're actually getting paid to play a sport you love doing anyway. And it's just one of those things where let's just see how far we can take this.
Right. So what was the year that you went from Leicester to Thames Valley Tigers? Was that those were the only two clubs you played for?
That's right, yeah. So pretty much it was a couple of years later, I moved down south to Bracknall. Mark Dunning was coaching them at the time. And I'd had Angus MacDonald in my ear for the previous couple of years going on at me about when you're going to come down to Bracknall, and it's one of those things, playing for England and talking to those boys and kind of what they were getting paid at their clubs and things like that. And kind of opened up a whole new world for me, really, as far as what was going on out there. And Bracknell approached me. I remember coming down and having a meeting with Mark and John Knight, bless his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago. Having a meeting with him, and John Knight saying, well, you're not very tall, are you? But it was fun. It was good. And, we got the deal done very, very quickly. And I had 15, 16 wonderful years there as player and coach.
Yeah. So Mark was your first coach, and then who else were you coached under? I believe Mickey would have been one of them.
So Mickey Bett was there. Jimmy Guyman was another one.
Right. I didn't know.
Jimmy came in. Basically, Mark was there, and actually that first year there's a bit of a friction between Mark and one of the players. And I can remember we were just heading to a final. And the whole team were brought together to discuss what we were going to do about this incident that had happened. And, a question was raised, well, do we need this player to win this final? And that was the question. There was nothing else. Yeah. And of course, the players were like, well, yeah, of course. We're not likely to win it without him. And, so the players stayed, and Mark ended up resigning and leaving. Mickey Betts and Julio Politi was there as well. So Mickey kind of took over for the remainder of that season. And then we had Jimmy Guyman came in after that and worked with us. But they were fabulous times.